Okay, we'll start with this, a continuation to a previous story. The official statement from the World Boxing Council as it pertains to their clean boxing program and the current scrutiny it's under. From the desk of Mauricio Sulaiman, the WBC president, the WBC clean boxing program began over 10 years ago, a unique program in the world, and is administered by VADA testing. All champions and top 15 rated contenders must enroll and are subject to random tests. Tests that are seldom ever conducted, if ever, have mandated testings on specific cases and contracted testings by promoters for fights. Devin Haney has been tested more than 70 times, always negative results. Yes, and all those tests were paid for by Devin Haney and his promotional outfit. Not a single one of them was picked up by the World Boxing Council because their clean boxing program doesn't have any teeth. It's not hard to understand. The clean boxing program may require its contenders to be enrolled for year-round testing. But say the World Boxing Council wanted to pop up on the number 2 guy, or the number 3 guy, any guy in their ranked standings, to test them at random. To have the guys and girls over at VADA pull up on somebody, collect some samples, and have them shipped out to a WADA-accredited lab, that's going to cost you, if that's what you wanted to do, to test them at random. It would have to be at your expense, otherwise it isn't random. If what you are referring to is randomized testing that the fighters pay for themselves, once a contract is signed and a fight camp begins, the World Boxing Council can't take credit for that because they're not the ones paying for it. The fighters are. Fighters like Devin Haney. Do you understand? What Mauricio Sulaiman is doing is misrepresenting the clean boxing program as if they actually conduct randomized testing year-round when they don't. The same way he misrepresents the World Boxing Council as being a quote-unquote non-profit while having a full-blown website with merch on sale. Caps, t-shirts, watches, replica belts. Replicas that are very pricey. And are we to believe that every single cent and every single dollar you rake in from that merch goes to charity? Goes to retired fighters in need? I'm not even saying that the World Boxing Council never helped anyone. They probably did, though not on the scale they would have you believe. And it's the same with their clean boxing program that does not foot the bill for any randomized testing happening in the sport. That's the fighters paying for that. And what you're doing is taking credit for the testing they pay for as if it's because of your clean boxing program. Following his doping suspension, when Ryan Garcia got tested for the Rolly Romero fight, that wasn't because of the clean boxing program. That's because the New York State Athletic Commission ordered him to get tested, since his fight was happening in their state, under their auspices. That wasn't you that made that happen, that was them. And now that that probationary period is passed, tell me, Mauricio, who conducted the anti-doping testing for Ryan's last fight earlier this year with Mario Barrios? Because VADA makes no mention of it on their Twitter page or their website, and it's almost like he didn't get tested. What testing agency, if any, did the tests? Based on your bylaws and who you're working alongside, it was supposed to be VADA, whether Ryan likes it or not, but if I didn't know better, it looks like you turned a blind eye to that. I don't think Ryan was tested by anyone for his title fight, but he was supposed to, based on your bylaws, and if he was unwilling to do so, then that should have disqualified him from fighting for your belt.
But it didn't it?
Now he's got this fight coming up with Conor Benn, who is also tested positive for a banned substance, just like him. And I don't think either of them are hung up on VADA testing. I don't think either of them, because remember, VADA caught Conor too. Do you expect that either Brian or Conor are going to be insistent that there be VADA testing for their September fight? What is the clean boxing program if it's not the overseer for a cleaner sport? It's the illusion of security perpetrated on the boxing public to make it seem like the World Boxing Council is working hard to clean up the sport and keep things fair, when in reality, all they're doing is taking the results of tests that other people paid for.
That's it.
And then uploading them to a database.
That's it.
That's all. And that's not the same thing as ensuring that randomized testing is happening year-round.
It's all in the verbiage.
You are required to be enrolled for 365 days of testing, but They're not actually going to test you.
And now you know.
Elsewhere in the world of boxing, boxing insider Rick Lacier stated, there's going to be a change in how some boxing fights are distributed. I will let the executives announce it shortly. This was about Garcia versus Ben.
That has since been announced.
As I was told in confidence by a media executive, fans will like it, as it'll help make happen some of the bigger fights. Less friction and more traction is always a good thing, especially in boxing.
The major detail that Rick is getting at is that Ryan Garcia versus Conor Benn is not going to be a pay-per-view. It will be distributed in America via Paramount Plus at no additional charge to subscribers, and it will be available in the UK and Ireland to DAZN subscribers, hopefully without the added charge for them.
Heralding a paradigm shift. A move away from box office fights, from pay-per-view, to make big fights accessible to that many more people. And it's not just Paramount.
We see that Netflix has taken a great interest in staging the biggest of the biggest fights with the biggest of the biggest names on their platform.
No pay-per-view. We also see this partnership between the DAZN and TNT platforms to stage a series of fights annually shared by both. Also, non-pay-per-views. That's the paradigm shift. The sport is slowly moving away from that model, though it'll never completely go away. There will always be room for the big pay-per-view, the big box office fight. The disconnect is, in the last 10 years,
Too many fights have ended up there with too many fighters that are not box office attractions.
and some would argue that it is still going on via DAZN's Ultimate Tier, where they're making every halfway decent fight into a pay-per-view.
They're charging you extra.
Then saying, if you sign up for their Ultimate Tier, it won't cost you anything extra, when in reality it still does, because it costs you 2 times what an annual DAZN subscription would cost. So either way, you're paying more.
And they're gonna have to scale that back.
Fiscally, you can't ask people to pay extra for fights like Benavidez versus Mikhailian, or Italma versus Hrgovic, Italma versus White, when they're getting bigger fights than that don't cost anything extra, like Garcia versus Ben, like Fury versus Makhmudov, Fury versus Joshua.
And they're gonna have to scale that back.
All these pay-per-views via the Ultimate Tier, they're gonna have to dumb that down. Oh yes. The Ultimate Tier debuted this year, and I don't imagine that very many, if any, Americans signed up for it. I would forecast maybe less than 100,000 have signed up for that.
In America.
Boxing in America is expensive enough as it is. You pay more for a DAZN subscription in the United States than you do in the United Kingdom, and you want to charge us even more money?
It's ludicrous.
But now that you're seeing these other platforms like Paramount and Netflix and TNT to a lesser extent take interest in carrying boxing matches, big ones,
especially the ones with the biggest of the biggest names, selling those pay-per-views on DAZN is going to become even harder, and that's the paradigm shift. That if the overall goal is to bring boxing back to the mainstream, you've got to remove the paywall.
It won't work any other way. If you were to surmise previous eras of boxing when the sport was a lot bigger than it is now, what you'll notice is it was more accessible to more people. The more accessible it is, the more big it is, because that's how sports work. Sports are for the common man. It's not supposed to be a luxury item.
It's supposed to be affordable to the blue-collar worker.
So now you have boxing happening on multiple platforms, not just DAZN and Amazon Prime, but on Paramount, and to a lesser extent TNT and Netflix, to where I wouldn't be surprised if anywhere in between a year to 2 years' time, this Ultimate Tier they're experimenting with is phased out completely.
Really?
I could see that, because people are either subscribing to it or they're not. And in the United States, where boxing is already more expensive than it is anywhere else in the world, I don't imagine you could have amassed more than a few thousand subscribers, if that.
I do not think they have 100,000 subs for that tier or more. I don't. And with big names like Shakur, potentially Devin Haney,
migrating over to Zuffa doing the Garcia versus Ben fight, and others not on pay-per-view, it makes pay-per-views harder to sell. That is one way that Zuffa is helping the situation for me and you, bringing boxing back to the common man, because that's who it's for.
DAZN has got a lot of fucking nerve charging me and you for Joshua's upcoming tune-up fight next weekend, and Moses Itelma versus Filipe Hrgovic?
I like the kid, but give me a break. He doesn't have anywhere near a following in the United States that his fights should be behind a paywall for Americans.
The Brits, maybe, but not us. I understand he's a hot prospect. I understand he's got all the makings of the heir apparent to the heavyweight division. I get all of that.
But what about a British contender versus a Croatian spell pay-per-view in the United States? Who do you expect to buy this?
They're gonna steal it.
I'm telling you the Americans are gonna steal it. So for putting fights behind a paywall that most potential customers are going to steal, you may as well make it part of a regular schedule for existing DAZN subscribers. In America, at least you get metrics. At least you get something out of that. You get nothing from illegal streams.
Zippo.
I think they're gonna end up phasing out the Ultimate Tier because they have to.
And that's the paradigm shift.
There is a direct correlation with the uptick of box office fights in the last decade of boxing and boxing's decline. The more paywalls you put up, the less people watch boxing, the less people talk about boxing, the less of a profile the sport has.
They're gonna end up phasing out that Ultimate Tier if they know what's good for them.
Every last one of them, when they see me, they be Joe. No matter who it is. Yo, bro, no, I'm not your bro. I don't hang with no boxing people. All these fighters, they see me in person, they want to shake my hand, be Joe. I'm not playing with these. I really will put my hands on these guys. I'm not playing with y'all. No matter what y'all think or what y'all say on the internet, bro, don't play with me. I'm dead serious. I get like this. You feel me?
Boots, man, welcome to the pivot. You're in a place where everybody they put in front of you, you annihilate.
37-0, 32 knockouts. A lot of times fighters tend to get complacent.
If it get easy, get them out of there. In boxing, is anything can happen.
You said you can Floyd Mayweather and you can Tyson. Those are some big shoes to fill.
I feel like I can go in any fight and do whatever I want. I'm going to go take them belts from them and show the world.
Channing told Bud there's a certain number you'd come back from.
You don't worry about what retired people do. We talk. Just the Boots era, he know. It's different over here, I'm trying to tell you.
He slipped up wanting to be Philadelphia famous instead of world famous.
My dad and my brothers, they created this monster. I really fight like all three of them in one. I could have been in the streets. They kept me on the right path, kept my mind right, and that's why I'm here today. I'm glad I had the right family around me to push me.
What's the grind? Because you always hear it, get it from the mud. You was in the mud. you had 2 pair of homes.
Does Boots Promotion promote heavyweights?
Come on, you ready?
I got about 45 seconds of pure hell in him. And I'ma have an asthma attack and I'ma throw up.
Okay, I'm caught. Here is how I have to react.
If you get hit, you gotta be in mindset like, I don't feel it. Don't get hyped, don't panic. Don't go crazy, because you're gonna get it back eventually.
I just got hit in my face.
You gotta work on your defense. You don't want to get hit.
I need to stay calm, and I don't need to panic. And she gonna push me in the bus.
You want to be the face of boxing?
I am the face of boxing.
Simple as that.
How will you know when your time in boxing is over?
Yeah, you gotta have the skills and ability, but you gotta have the mindset too. You gotta know in your mind that you gonna do everything you say, believe in yourself, believe in your work ethic. It definitely shaped me as a person, and that's something that I don't want to feel ever again. I'm not gonna ever feel it again.
Little bit of pushback from the boxing insider Rick Glacier, who said Boots isn't even close to being the face of boxing. Yes, in his hometown of Philly he's known, and to social media boxing enthusiasts, but to the general sports fan, he's not known. Not his fault, as it's an era issue, always fighting behind a paywall for Showtime and now DAZN. In the US, Canelo is still by far the face of boxing, and will be as long as he's fighting. Best regards to Boots on his quest.
Why is it all these Americans take it upon themselves to crown themselves the face of boxing, the faces, without the numbers to boot, without the backing?
Well, these are not necessarily grounded individuals, and that token American exceptionalism accents their arrogance because they are arrogant. Rick Glacier continued, many have anointed Boots Ennis as great, and some, including Boots himself, calling Ennis the face of boxing, while I'd much rather put stock in Moses Itelma as the next great thing in the face of boxing, as Itelma is only 21 and is ripping them up and leaving them flat out on the deck with singular lethal bombs. Moses Itelma will be the next face of boxing worldwide, not just in the US, while Boots will be trying hard to fill an arena in Philly. Itelma will be carrying the entire UK, filling Wembley with 95,000 fans. Moses Itelma will be that guy, the second coming of Mike Tyson, without the drama and arrests.
So there you have it. Rick Glacier thinks it's going to be Moses, not Boots, that puts the sport on his back and carries it throughout this era. In truth, I think the both of them have things working for them, because a big part of becoming the face of boxing, the fighter that everybody knows and associates with the sport, is opponent selection.
You need a healthy supply of opponents for big-time fights that people care about. Sugar Ray Leonard had it. Oscar De La Hoya, Floyd Mayweather, he had it.
Canelo's definitely had it.
It's not enough for you to be good. Believe it or not, it's not enough for you to just be elite in your division or the surrounding divisions. You need fights that people actually care about. You need a frick to your frack. So the opponent selection matters a great deal. I think on an international level, Moses might have that.
And we know that Boots definitely has it. He's got a good number of fights right there between 154 and 160 that people would pay attention to. He just had the Zayas fight, but there is still the Fundora fight, the Virgil Ortiz fight, the Josh Kelly fight.
Understanding this sport and knowing that those fights are not going to happen in that succession. He's not going to get all of those guys back to back. There will be other fights in between that also help to build his stock, build his profile. It's not enough to be elite.
You need the opponents.
And you need to be active. You need the schedule. You can't let a year pass by in between your last fight and your next one, as there's plenty of room in there for people to forget about you.
Because when you're not fighting, other fighters are, and they're going to be what people are talking about while you're on holiday.
Needless to say, I agree with Rick Glacier that Jaron Ennis is not now the face of boxing. Far from it. He is not the biggest draw for this sport in this country. He could be, he could become that, but he's not alone. There are other guys in the running. You have to give some consideration to Ryan Garcia, who I don't even like, but he's very popular, and he's about to box in a big fight on a very big platform. You have to give him some consideration too. Even if he doesn't have all the ability, he does have the profile.
You also have to consider what's going to happen with Abdullah Mason, unbeaten up-and-comer Emiliano Vargas. There are a couple of guys you want to follow their careers. Pay attention to them that might yield the potential to become the face of boxing, though here and now, it's not Boots. It's still Canelo.
Nothing Jaron Ennis has done spells usurping Canelo Alvarez as the sport's biggest draw in this country. And to be the face, that's what you have to be. The biggest draw.
Veiled attempts to redefine what it means due to personal preferences by some. That's what being the face of boxing is all about. Being the biggest draw.